My wife dropped the bombshell that she suddenly wants to close our marriage, just as soon as I'm starting to flourish and meet people. Me, 28 male, and my wife Ashley, 30 female, have been together for 4 years, married 3, and open for 2. We both found someone very early. Ashley was dating a married man in a stable poly relationship, and I got quite close to a grad student at a nearby college. Ashley and I were both high on new relationship energy but managed to share that with each other, and it was so intense and special. After 9 great months, my grad student got a job offer several hours away. Being slightly introverted, I kind of withdrew into my shell and threw myself into the gym to take my mind off things. Less than 2 months after that, Ashley's meta got pregnant and her relationship started to wind down. I had hoped we could take some time and maybe travel or just spend some romantic time together after both of our breakups, but Ashley's plan was to chase that next NRE rush with someone new. But she wasn't matching with anyone that she could really connect with. She started seeing more people more often. Then she scheduled a date with a new guy on Saturday night, which had always been our date night. We argued and she ended up not going out with either of us that night. She insisted we change our date night to Thursday because Friday and Saturday were better for her other partners, especially if they wanted to do an overnight. All this caused me to spiral a bit and I was practically living at the gym, with no real enthusiasm for dating for a few months. The upside was I lost 35 pounds and really pumped my arms and upper body up. One of my friends, Keith, from the gym talked me into working at one of his clubs on Friday and Saturday as a barback since they were crazy busy. It's a mixed crowd LGBTQ+ with a big dance floor and a drag show. By the 3rd week, I was bartending and the MC had made teasing me and grabbing my booty part of her act. I started getting hit on, which boosted my confidence and went from introverted to the other end of the scale. After about 3 months, I noticed Ashley making snide remarks about my working and staying out all night, as I think she was a bit annoyed or jealous I was having such a good time. She was still getting dealt crappy cards from a stacked deck, as she put it, rarely getting more than 3 to 4 dates from any one guy before ending it or getting ghosted. Meanwhile, I'm going to after parties or hooking up and not getting home much before the sun comes up. Then came the big storm. 1. I knew I was going to hook up with a regular at the bar and not be home, so I texted Ashley that I was having an overnight and wouldn't be home till the next morning. I get a lengthy text about how I ruined the mood on her date and ruined things, and the next day had a big argument. 2. Ashley had told me she was doing an overnight on Friday, so after work, I invited a few people to the house. Ashley had a fight with her boyfriend and came home early to find me in the hot tub with 3 exposed women. 2 were lesbians, but the picture didn't reflect that. 3. Ashley and her date decided they wanted to see the drag show on Saturday. It was a packed house. We had 3 bachelorette parties in the house that were in rare form. I was helping the barback clear empties from the tables, and the MC and one of the other divas were giving me the business, which only egged the bachelorette groups to get handsy as well. As busy as it was, I never saw Ashley, but Kevin did, and saw her leave in a huff with a bewildered date in tow. The day after she came to the club, Ashley said we needed to close the relationship and work through some issues. We talked about a few of them, mostly me not being available on the weekends and not prioritizing our relationship. I had to remind her that she was the one who prompted us to move our date night from Saturday to Thursday to accommodate her boyfriend's schedules. She brought up how hurt she was when she had a fight with one of her dates and came home early to find me in a hot tub full of women when she needed me to be there for her. I told her for once I was getting to enjoy the same freedom she had, and if she was having issues, then maybe she should take a step back and close her side while she got some individual counseling to learn how to deal with her issues. I haven't missed a Thursday date night with her, although she can spend a third of it on her phone with other guys and that's supposed to be okay, and I brought up how she literally sends 30 texts to my one. Last night she brought it up again and I said if she wanted to close we could close, but it would be permanent. No dating or online flirting. She would have to delete all her dating apps and Snapchat, all her phone numbers of past hookups, everything. I made it clear if we went down this path, then the next time she wanted to so much as have dinner with another man alone, it would be as a single poly woman. Obviously, she didn't like my idea and said it was unfair, and personally right now that isn't something I want either, but I'm not going to just let her pour cold water over my side to appease whatever is going through her head right now. Update: so last Thursday was our scheduled date night where she again asked me to pause, reconnect, and work through some issues. Friday and Saturday nights had lately been the nights I worked at the club while she went out with her other partners and was often gone overnight, leaving me alone for most of the weekend. This last weekend she spent both Friday and Saturday nights sitting alone at the end of the bar where I worked. I had a date already planned for Friday after work, but on Saturday we left together and had breakfast before going home. All this week her phone has been silent and I have only seen her texting a couple of times. All 3 times we have been intimate this week she has been the one to initiate it, which is the total opposite of the last 9 months. We had a long talk and she wants to make Saturday our official date night again in addition to keeping Thursday night as well. She said she had pulled all her dating profiles down and deleted Snapchat, basically closing her side of the relationship down. Her only ask has been for me to not work Saturdays so we could spend the entire day together. I told her I could do that, but I needed to give Kevin time to find a replacement for me at the club. We are spending this afternoon with her family and lunch tomorrow with mine for Thanksgiving. Ashley has a new individual therapist she will start seeing next week and wants an extra session with our couples counselor for the next couple of months. She hopes but hasn't pressed that I will close my side as well, but I haven't made up my mind yet. I guess I will wait and see for now. Update 2. So we started going to couples therapy every other week, and in the weeks in between she was seeing her personal therapist. I was able to get her to understand and take the blame for how I suffered, and we worked through a lot of our issues. Our therapist had us work on what we each wanted going forward and devise a plan to manage our expectations. Some of the rules were made to manage NRE and respect each other. These were not boundaries that could be pushed but rules that had serious consequences. Either close permanently or separate pending divorce proceedings. 1. Thursday and Saturday were our date nights. No phone calls or texts with other partners. 2. On nights we were home together there would be no texts after 7 p.m. 3. Each of us was allowed 2 dates per week with other partners. 4. No phones are allowed in the bedroom. 5. No hosting partners at our house. 6. All partners will be informed of these rules and be expected to honor them. We spent about 6 weeks rebuilding our relationship and trust. I had one person I was seeing but she was still closed for the most part. A month ago, in one of our sessions, she asked if I was comfortable with her seeing people again and I said I was okay as long as she followed what we had talked about. She started talking to Fred, and they went out a couple of times and made love on the second date. No overnights yet and they have both been good about texting per our agreements. Last week Ashley said a friend of hers was going to be in town on Saturday and she wanted to have dinner with him. I asked if that was how she wanted to spend date night and she said just this once. She said he was just a friend and was only in town for the day so I said sure why not. Fast forward to Saturday, she is getting ready, getting dressed up really nice for just a friend. She came out of the bedroom and I got up and grabbed my jacket and keys and asked if she was ready to go. She asked what I was doing and I said we're going to have dinner with your friend tonight, right? She said that wasn't exactly the plan. I apologized and said that's what I thought she meant about having dinner with him on our date night and suggested she text him and tell him it would be 3 for dinner. After more discussion, she did send him a text that she would be unable to make it for dinner. We ended up getting a pizza delivered and talking most of the night. Sunday morning we slept in and she woke up like nothing had happened and rolled over on top of me. This week the subject hasn't come up and she has been pretty loving. Monday we have couples therapy where I'm sure one of us is going to bring it up. Hopefully, it's just a small bump in the road as we have been better together than we have been in a long time. This Saturday we are celebrating my promotion and I am surprising her with a trip overseas. Conclusion, I had high hopes but I have to admit most of you were right. Things were looking up and we, at least I, were happy, and things looked like we had moved past all the drama. But her lies kept piling up, even telling little lies that didn't mean anything. Last Sunday, Ashley said she was going shopping with her mom and would be home around 5 p.m. About 30 minutes after she left I heard her watch dinging away in the bedroom. She had left it on the charger by the bed. I called her to tell her she had left her watch and to pick up bread for dinner on her way home, but she didn't pick up, which isn't unusual when she is driving. So I called her mom and when I told her to tell my wife when she got there she seemed surprised. I chatted with her for a while and discovered they had no shopping plans. Now I checked the text messages that had been coming in on her watch. The one that stood out was from a guy named Alan, whom I didn't know, saying he was running an errand and was going to be a little late. I was composing a lengthy text message when Ashley called me back. She said her mom had forgotten about the shopping trip. I stopped her and said since Alan was running late she should come back home so we could talk. There were a few seconds of silence before she said she would be right there. When she got home I told her I had had it with all the lies and gaslighting. I told her to pack an overnight bag and to just spend the night with Alan as I needed some space to process what I needed to do next. She apologized for lying and said we needed to talk this out now and not let it fester and get any worse. I told her I was going for a ride to clear my head, but it would be better if she wasn't here when I got back. I was gone for a couple of hours, during which she sent several texts. When I got home she was still there so I packed a bag and left again without saying much. I got a hotel room and muted my phone. Monday morning I got to work early and made some calls. I was able to see an attorney that afternoon to discuss options for a divorce. I gave him the go-ahead to get started on the paperwork and have her served. I sent Ashley a text asking her to come home straight after work because we needed to have a serious conversation. I was direct and told her I had seen an attorney and started divorce proceedings, that I was done with the lies, and felt this was my only option. She didn't take it well and all week has been hot and cold, playing every card she is trying to get me to change my mind. I canceled our couples therapy session Wednesday night, useless at this point. Thursday morning she was served and the reality set in and she cried all night. I called Keith and asked him if he had an open spot on Saturday night at the bar and told him what had happened. He was sorry to hear about my marriage but excited to have me working on Saturday nights again. They made a big deal Friday night at the club about it and I was touched by all the support and love from my bar family. I told Ashley I would help her find an apartment and get her moved ASAP. I talked to my landlord and he is willing to let me make an offer on the house we have been renting. I want the divorce to be as amicable as possible but I don't want her in my life anymore. There will be times when our friends bring us into contact and I don't want it to be weird but I want to keep her at arm's length.